Morning, afternoon, or evening, wonderful people, wherever you are on this crazy flat plane that we're told is a spinning ball hurtling through space at thousands of miles per hour. Back today with a New Age review, off the cuff one. I was just searching around. I literally just typed in spirit guides, and of course there was a whole plethora of options that came up. Came across this lady who calls herself the Alchemist. And, she's talking here about the new earth, the woo-woo new earth, where all these new ages are, or think they're heading anyway, just by changing their vibration. I don't know anything about this woman. I think she's been recommended to me before. She's looking very spiritual with all the crystals in the background. Nothing inherently wrong with crystals, just make sure you clear them, and obviously don't clear them in moonlight. So we'll break this down, but as always, guys, if you're new around here, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all that jazz, and you can find all my work on my website, transcendingtimes.org. Don't forget to check out the links in Telegram, Bitchute, and all my other platforms in the description below. Without further ado, let's listen to some pearls of wisdom, shall we? Of course, I'm being sarcastic. Well, maybe she has some. Let's hear.
People going through a spiritual awakening are concerned with how exactly to shift their frequency or to shift their consciousness onto
I'm concerned. How do I shift my frequency?
To a new paradigm, or what we call the new earth.
The new earth, over the Rainbow Bridge, Jerry Sargent's Rainbow Bridge, where everyone lives in peace and happiness, plays a flute, and dances under the oak tree singing Kumbaya, where nothing bad ever happens, nobody gets sick, there is no war. You just think happy thoughts and you just suddenly manifest yourself there. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Really.
So today I'm going to be explaining exactly how to shift our consciousness onto the new earth.
Thank you, oh wise one that knows all. Is she already in the new earth, though? She's already there. Tell us, how do we get there?
Perhaps the most important concept when it comes to shifting our consciousness into a higher frequency and into the new earth is one of the least known, if not esoteric.
Look at the eyes. They're like really intense, like staring you out. Look at those eyes.
Concepts that there ever were. And that is a concept called crystallization.
Well, if that doesn't sound new agey, I don't know what is. Sounded like a buzzword alert there, crystallization.
Now, in mysticism, crystallization is one of the most important topics and concepts that we could ever accomplish and that we could ever know of. And the reason why is because crystallization is the key to healing and integrating our entire body, mind, spirit complex. And what crystallization is the organization of all of our different fragmented aspects. So crystallization is the coherency which leads to an organized body, mind, spirit complex, or what we call...
She reminds me a little bit of Elizabeth April. She says a lot of stuff without actually saying anything at all. But let's hear her out. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong. And she delivers a truth bomb that I'm not currently aware of.
All in the spirit of this age, an integrated body, mind, spirit complex. In essence,
those eyes just, I don't know, they're just hypnotic.
What crystallization is and why it's so important in mysticism is because to crystallize is to become one.
Again, I pointed this out in my live, the way that these people and indeed these guides or entities, when we look at the soul trap, how they like talk down to their followers or the people that are past, like they don't know anything, and these people are all knowing, right? Like they're babies, and they're all sitting there waiting.
It is to become one singular being. Because, believe it or not, we think at this moment in time that we are already one singular being, but we are not. We have so much cognitive dissonance within our body, mind, spirit complex that one cannot say that we are so organized, that we are
The eyes.
coherent, that we are unified, that we are integrated enough to call ourselves by one entity known as ourself. So,
is this making any sense to anyone? Because it makes no sense to me at all. Maybe I'm missing something, guys. Comment below. Am I missing the message here?
to crystallize is to become so aware and to become so conscious of all of our different aspects that are in a state of fragmentation. And not only to become so aware of these aspects, but to then be able to integrate them, to have them become aware of one another, and then to figure out from there what to do with this new awareness of one another so that they become consolidated, or what we call healing.
Fake smile. Sorry, I just got to say it.
When you heal, it is to bring unification. So when we're healing, that's just the name we are actually assigning to a unification process within.
Those eyes are bugging me out. I'm sorry. It's just
our body, mind, spirit. But that's also what mysticism knows as to crystallize. It is, once again, that
crystallize, guys. Crystallize. Pack your bags. You're on your way to the new earth once you crystallize.
Organization that is the opposite of cognitive dissonance. Scientifically speaking, crystallization is fusion. To crystallize always means to bring fusion. In the esoteric meaning, crystallization is to fuse our inner qualities that make up our being. But even more than that, it is to transform or reorganize our mind, our body, and spirit so that we develop our astral body. So
I'm just not getting any sense of what she's talking about. Crystallizing the astral body to integrate the self, and it's just all hocus pocus, a mishmash of confusing new age buzzwords that on the surface sound good, and for the uneducated will get them going gaga over because it sounds spiritual, but in essence really makes no sense. I mean, if she's talking about inner work and doing stuff like that to help with like integration, then to a point I agree, but I just don't know. She's going off on a tangent here and using all these buzzwords that they use so prominently in the new age, and I can't get a grasp on what her actual message is.
Crystallization leads to the development of our astral body. This transformation takes place in the physical body while we are still alive, but it is the astral body that will survive beyond this dimension. And it is the astral body that will lead our consciousness in the shift to the new earth.
Sorry guys, I've got a break here.
What if you could create a video sales funnel in 30 minutes by yourself?
Great.
When we crystallize, we access higher forms of light, known as essence. And these higher forms of light create an astral body. The astral body has to be developed.
You already have an astral body. You don't have to create it. It's already there. So I don't know what she's talking about there. It's not something you create. You already have it.
For our consciousness to shift to the new earth, just like a thought gets created before an action is taken, or Just like we have to have an aspect of our energy field that can already exist there.
Can you see how this whole New Earth concept ties into people's need to escape? And I've said it many a time, you know, I get it. It's a difficult place to be. I call it gangster planet. But you're not going to get out just by spiritually bypassing, which is, when you really unpack what she's saying is basically spiritually bypassing. Think good thoughts, think happy thoughts, whatever. Crystallize, whatever that means. I still don't know what it means. Maybe I'm missing something. And and you'll shift into a place where this stuff doesn't exist. And of course, people want to be in a place where a lot of this stuff doesn't exist. So it really pulls people in because they feel like they can escape somewhere, even if it might just be within themselves and this fantasy, this made up place called the New Earth or 5D, where they actually are so desperate that they believe that they're physically going to be in another place where, you know, rules, regulations, made up illnesses and jabs and all this stuff just magically disappears. I was having this argument during the illness, and people were arguing with these New Agers were arguing with me about the New Earth, and I'm like, okay, all right. So you go to an airport and try and get on a plane without a mask. Are you saying that now you're in 5D or the New Earth, you don't have to do that? And they're like, yeah, they can't answer it because when you bring them back down to earth, and it's nonsensical. But again, with all this fake spiritual New Age stuff, it ties into getting people to feel good, get people to escape, and just live in like a fantasy world, fantasy land. And that's what it is, unfortunately.
Before our consciousness is able to materialize there. If the opposite of crystallization is to be in a state of disorganization or chaos that leads to a fragmented body, mind, spirit, that means that we are in some form of cognitive dissonance. Now, the funny thing about cognitive dissonance is that we all have it, and it's just a matter of what degree. How much
cognitive dissonance is trying to kid yourself that you can somehow transfer yourself to somewhere else while still being in this one place. That's cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance do we have? The more cognitive dissonance that a being has, the more they are fractured and polarized. And this is what you will be seeing from here on out within the spirit of this age. You will see drastic and extreme forms of polarization. And that's not only an organic part of what's happening within the alchemical boiling pot.
Yeah, they don't want you to think that there's a right or wrong, or there's actual evil taking place on this planet. They want to call it polarization. It's another thing that they say a lot.
Of this age, but it's also the synthetic chemistry that is socially engineered onto our psyche, specifically to polarize it, to fanaticize it. In fact, fanaticism is what we call in mysticism false crystallization. Because just as we can...
Man, I need the New Age sick bucket. I need to bring back the sick bucket. I cannot fathom that what the first thing that she's going on about. I'm completely lost. It's just a string of buzzwords. It's Elizabeth April 101, this woman.
Go through the healing.
And I don't just say these things to, you know, put out content or to be controversial. I actually mean it. Like, find me the sense in what she's saying here, because I can't see it. Hand on heart, I cannot see the sense in what she's saying.
Process to become one unified consciousness and crystallize. We can also go through a false crystallization process. And when a being has falsely crystallized, they have gone...
What? What? So there's not just crystallization, there's a false crystallization. And then we've got, I don't know what that is, Saturn? I mean, look at the symbology. I mean, space doesn't even exist, but the planets are luminaries. I mean, what the hell is she talking about, guys?
Gone through false alchemy. They have gone through something that they think.
Again, they talk like they're the complete package, right? They are the bastion of truth, and you don't know anything. You're just a little you. You need me. You need me to tell you what's going on. And again, guys, you can listen to information and you can take it on board, but the discernment process needs to kick in. And there are people out there that can help you on that journey. I'm not saying that, you can never listen to anyone or anything like that, but it's just the way they come across, like the viewership. I mean, essentially the viewership, they are like children, because that's how they haven't done enough internal pondering on the real important stuff to reach certain conclusions and to what I call embody that kind of sovereign energy. They're still like consciously babies.
Is an actual healing or something where they think they are aligned with truth and aligned with unity consciousness, and therefore they are accessing a higher vantage point of truth, when they are actually stuck in polarization.
No, the people that are stuck, my friend, are the people that listen to this garbage. The people that have woken up to certain truths and then fall into this spiritual movement, which I hate the word spiritual now. I've said it before. We need a new term. I like sovereignty. So this is the fake awakening. What you're talking about here, you're trying to mislead people, knowingly or unknowingly. I don't know. That's up for debate. But you are misleading people into a grand deception in the fact that you are telling them that they can somehow transcend this place or transfer their consciousness while they're here into this kind of like utopia where everyone's riding unicorns over the rainbow bridge. So you are the fake awakening and content like this. And your 169,000 subscribers that hang on every word you say. And I point out again, another New Ager with huge following. And I point out again, 2015 my channel's been up. I'm approaching 18,000 people. You do the maths.
And they are stuck in some form of fanaticism. Fanaticism and fundamentalism are two ways that you can split and fracture the psyche. And once a being does that, they are now locked into
There's fanatical New Agers that are completely engrossed in all this nonsense. So you can be a fanatic within spiritual circles.
a paradigm to where everything that they think is the peak or the height of that belief system that they are falsely crystallizing into is actually
Crystallize, guys. Crystallize your belief system. I mean, does anyone know what that means yet? Or how you can do it? I'm at a loss. I want to crystallize myself, but I can't. I don't know how. And she's not explaining it properly.
actually the truth. We can false crystallize into nationalism. We can false crystallize into the mental body, into our race, into our faith, into whatever we have built our identity and its belief systems around.
Oh my God.
You've all heard of Wonder Woman.
But have you heard of the scientific benefits
another
of
one.
the Wonder Woman pose?
This
There is a
mindvalley.com, don't get me
that
started
Amy
on
Cuddy in
them.
her famous TED Talk, which is called a
Bunch of shields they are.
But the main motivation in false crystallization is always fear. Even if we love, we still love because we are motivated by fear. All of our belief systems and all of our actions are motivated by fear. Even if we believe in God, we believe in God because we're really motivated by fear. We make our spiritual forces take on an identity that will support our ego because we have falsely crystallized.
Hang on a minute, I thought you weren't allowed an ego. I thought you have to destroy the ego to reach the new earth. Don't you need to destroy the ego to crystallize yourself? Doesn't that lead to a fake crystallization?
Into fear. This process is the reversal of taking in higher forms.
Oh, look, the old one eye. It's very interesting that they put that there in the video with the rainbow colours. Guys, you blink, you miss this stuff, right? This is all very subtle here, and this is by design, right? Incredible.
Forms of light, and the reversal of taking.
What would be the need to show someone doing the one eye? Like, it's not needed for what, I mean, I don't know what she's talking about, but it's not needed in the context of what she's talking about. Why does he need to be covering his eye? Because it's symbology.
Taking in higher forms of essence. Instead, our consciousness fuses together and solidifies while it is still stunted. This is the true meaning of
My eyes are going to roll out my head again, guys.
fundamentalism, to solidify prematurely. And
I just want to make a point as well. It just came to me. Sometimes people comment and say they can't watch these videos or they're bored of listening to these people talking, right? And I understand it. And there's certain people that have been following my work for a while, and they know that this is BS now, right? And that's great. I don't think you can. I think there's always more to learn, especially when you get to the soul track. That really annoys me. When people say, "Oh yeah, well I know about the soul track." Look, there's new stuff that comes out about what they do when you die all the time, right? And if you leave things to chance, right, you could be in trouble, right? So don't ever think that you've nailed it in these topics, because like I say, even like for me, I'm always open to learning more, and I always find more stuff and points and things that don't make sense. So, and the main point with this is that new people are coming to the channel all the time. People that are still stuck in the mindset of the New Age, are still stuck in spiritual bypassing and escapism with the spiritual movement, or have been damaged by the spiritual movement, and they haven't seen a lot of this stuff. And so please don't please think of everyone, okay, if you're going to comment. So I just want to point out, because I had a couple of comments like that recently, and it annoys me a little bit, because yeah, you might know to an extent what's going on, but other people don't. There's millions of people that are trapped within the New Age circle, and just think about other people as well that are coming across content like this, because it's incredibly important, and we have to help them through it.
to do this is to calcify. So when we falsely crystallize,
Calcify the false crystallization of the ego unto the new earth, and oh my God, give me strength.
another way of saying that is just to calcify.
Just don't say it.
What's the difference between false crystallization and calcification? It's nothing. There is no difference, because it's become a hardening. It's become a rigidity that blinds them to anything other than their.
How can anyone come away from this video and think, do you know what, I've got so much more clarity now about what's going on. Like I really feel like I know what direction I need to move in. Like, even if you believe in all the New Age junk, like, What is this woman saying? Again, leave a comment. If you know what this woman is saying, please tell me.
Religious belief system or their socio-political or their even spiritual belief systems. It's on all levels that you can falsely crystallize. So it's not just one dimension of reality. But when we go through this, there is blinders placed on us so that there is no malleability, meaning there is no flexibility in our consciousness to continue expanding, therefore continue organizing itself, and therefore continue integrating its consciousness.
What the? I'm sorry, but what the? Is she gonna pull off a face and it's Elizabeth April? These people, like, nothing ever shocks me anymore. I'm going to go into the comments after and see what people are saying. And I bet they're like, oh, thank you. That's so great. Now I know, like, oh, I can't wait to get to the new earth. Oh, wow. Your information's amazing. Like, some people are just, they are in desperate trouble. This is why I could never stop doing this work. Sometimes I want to, like, do you think that I want to sit through, I've got an afternoon to myself that I want to sit through and listen to people like this? I mean, other people are going way worse than me. I'm not complaining about my life. I just want to point that out. But there's other things that I could be doing than listening to this garbage. But I know that it's so important that people get themselves out of this new age stuff.
So it stops, it's hit a glass ceiling where it looks like it is at the peak of its paradigm or belief system, and that is to falsely crystallize. In my video, the timeline split.
Can't wait for that one with the globes. Timeline split. What if you kind of like half and half? Like you're half, you don't quite crystallize, but you kind of crystallize, and then you're sort of half here and you're half in the new earth. Like, what happens then? Maybe it's the false crystallization.
Explained. I talk about how there is an ascension timeline and an ascension trajectory.
Oh, really?
As well as a descension timeline.
Oh, descension. Oh, wow. Did you know there's a descension? So do people get dissension symptoms like they get ascension symptoms? Which is basically radiation poisoning. Man, these people just never cease to amaze me. Dissension. So we could potentially, if we don't raise our vibrations, we could descend to a place worse than this.
And therefore a descension trajectory. Now, when it comes to false crystallization, so many things look like they are of a positive and a beneficial timeline, when in reality, it is our fanaticism and our...
Is she reading from a script? I don't know. It sounds very structured.
fundamentalism.
Look at the way she... Is there something in the way that they look at the camera? It's almost like when she looks at you, she's looking through your soul, right? I'm not exaggerating. That's what it feels like. She gives me the creeps.
That is ruled unconsciously by a fear frequency.
I mean, I know what it is. It's an entity working through her, but I just wanted to say.
Which is making our belief systems look like they are on an upswing, when in actuality it is calcifying our consciousness. Now, when a being experiences this calcification within the body, mind, spirit, it is not able to have the flexibility to expand its consciousness and therefore break out of its false crystallization, unless it were to go through a complete and total dark night of the soul. Mystics have described this false crystallization as being so permanent and being so hopeless of a situation that a being finds themselves in, that unless they...
I think I definitely false crystallized myself. I think anyone that's listening to this, we're all false crystallized. We need to I don't know, do a detox or something to uncrystallize ourselves.
they were to consciously participate at that point in their own demise, unless they are consciously participating in melting down their consciousness so that it
melt down the crystallization
can once again start from scratch. That if that melting down process does not take place, then that being is past the point of no return and cannot create coherency and true integration within their body, mind, spirit.
Please don't tell me I won't go to the new earth if I'm crystallized. Oh, I want to go. I want to go to earth on the Rainbow Bridge with Jerry Sargent and Sibon and who's the one? Who's a really bad one? In Eldora. Eldora, the husband beater. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've got no proof of that, right? Disclaimer, it was a joke, right? It was a joke. It was my sarcasm. But he is whipped. Let me tell you that. He is whipped. Allegorically speaking, like you're not literally whipped, but she wears the trousers.
Complex. And therefore can never reach, at least in this lifetime, the frequency where the new earth, where that new paradigm would be on.
Translated as just stand down, don't cause any bother, don't resist anything, don't call anything out. You know, just be good, and then you get to go to the new earth, which doesn't exist.
Because to be in a high frequency or to be in a unified state of consciousness would also be pliant. It would be elastic enough so that it can continue to expand. It can continue to organize. And with that, it would be expanded enough to receive more love.
I don't know what to say at this point. Like she's one of the worst. Like I've done a lot of reviews now. She's up there. She's got to be up there. She's up there with the Eldora and Simon, the Jerry Sargent and the Elizabeth April and the Magenta Pixie. Actually, they're all bad. I was thinking, when does this list stop? But she's bad. She's bad.
That's what a unified consciousness can do once it's crystallized. It can become a unified entity, what we're calling one.
Talking of entities, Mrs. Reptilian.
But with that, it also has the flexibility to continue to expand. So you see, it's going with the chaos and order that expands our consciousness to always be able to...
This is nothing more than hypnosis, like, seriously.
To receive higher love. Whereas in false crystallization, you do not have that ability to continue to expand your consciousness. Your consciousness has been pushed. It has been reactive into a state that's not even your free will that made it go into whatever belief system or paradigm that it went into. And that's what fear does. When we're operating from fear, but we think that our belief systems are actually aligned with something like love.
How has this woman got 169,000 subscribers? Like, not only does she just talk gibberish, it's boring as well. She's got no charisma that I can make out. It's very structured, if not scripted. And yet she has 169,000 subscribers.
How the fear disguises itself as love is by something that is beyond our own free will. It's something that looks like we were pushed into becoming more religious, accidentally became more religious, or pushed into one side of sociopolitics because we don't resonate so much with the other side. Name it, whatever it is that we got reacted into. Something acted upon our consciousness and it created fear. And so our consciousness reacted. It became more of whatever the thing is that we were afraid of.
Oh, everything makes so much sense now. I understand everything. I understand everything. Not.
So when our consciousness is actually not making choices that are from its free will.
And I'd be embarrassed to put myself on camera and just speak garbage into the camera to 169,000 people. I would feel incredibly embarrassed about that. But these people have no shame. In fact, they're probably doing it on purpose, most of them.
Will, but we think that we're making choices that are coming from our free will. But when our consciousness is actually coming from a state of reactivity, of automation, it's being pushed into some sort of belief system without knowing that it's not by choice, it's not from their own free will. It's actually out of fear. It's actually meant to polarize us into some sort of false crystallization paradigm where we become hyper fanatical in one way or another. And it was all by design and some organicness thrown in there too.
And of course, guys, it's all your fault, as it always is. It's something that you're doing wrong or you haven't done. Nothing to do with anything outside of you that's going on, that's manipulating you, deceiving you, making you feel bad, making you feel fearful and anxious. Entities and all that kind of stuff, nothing to do with that. It's all your fault.
Because the fun of this dimension that we're in is that there's always going to be genuine and organic parts of our journey that are side by side with socially engineered and intentionally manipulative parts that are both coexisting at the same time.
Fake smile.
And so in this reality, it's never...
That smile's like Tony Blair. You remember Tony Blair? He used to make the smile, but there was nothing behind it. You know, it was like that.
Usually just one or the other. It's usually a fine mixture of each, where when we find ourselves backed into a corner and therefore we have falsely crystallized, we can't entirely blame the powers that were or social engineering all on our state of being. Because the human condition in this dimension has it so that we are always very easily programmable. And that's an organic part of this experience. Go fig.
Great.
So the challenge of this age is to not falsely crystallize. The challenge of this age is...
The challenge of this age is not to listen to garbage like this. Garbage like this that is designed to make you feel good, make you feel like, you know, everything's your fault and you just got to, you know, do enough gong baths or whatever. Just garbage, new age garbage, spiritual bypassing. It's your fault. You're in your mind. You're in your ego. You're not good enough until you do this to go to the new earth 5D bullshit. That's the problem.
It's actually to start questioning why we resonate with what we resonate. If it's actually a reaction to something, and that if we could better merge our consciousness by becoming aware of what parts of us are simply there out of fear, resonating with certain beliefs, whatever those beliefs may be, out of fear, out of reactivity, versus what is genuinely a part of our I, our individual self, the one that it would look like if it was whole, and it's
Wrap it up now, please.
unified
We're nearly done, guys. We're nearly done.
consciousness, and how that healed and integrated version of ourselves would look like, because that is the same frequency that would be a match to the new earth.
Yes.
And the new earth will not take our form. It will not take our shape.
The new earth won't take your form, guys. until you crystallize yourself. But be careful, don't false crystallize, will you?
We shift our frequency to meet it. I hope this has helped you crystallize. Make sure to subscribe to my channel.
No, just no. I mean, what is there left to say? And again, I'm not being like this just out of spite. It's just garbage. It's just simply garbage. And when people put stuff like that out there as quote unquote truth, it deserves to be mocked and laughed at and ridiculed, because it is by definition ridiculous. And I have no idea what her core message was. Nothing. It was just garbage. So anyway, guys, if you like the breakdown, give it a like. I know it's hard, but it helps me out. Give it a comment. If you know what she was getting at, leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe as well. And I'll see you soon on the next video. Take care, guys.